Hi everybody, welcome to Storytime 2. Before we start, we want to acknowledge the first storytellers of the traditional custodians of the lands where we're all meeting, where their stories echo across the lands. I notice that you've all got hats on today. Tell me about your hats. Why did you choose that hat? We'll start with Zara.
My mum got this.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. You have to speak in a big voice. She got it when she what, sorry?
Came back from work.
When she came back from work. Beautiful. And Zoe, you've got a beautiful hat. Can you tell us about that? You tell us about it, Sarah, for Zoe. You look so beautiful in that. Great. Very good. And you live in a very hot place, so it's important you wear hats, isn't it? Very important. Good. Now let's go to Ruby. She's the next person on our screen. Tell us about your hat, Ruby.
I picked this hat because it's my school hat.
Nice. And what colour is it?
And I wear it every day. It's like a blackish grey.
Alright, because it looks like that. It looks like that on the
And it
video.
has my school logo on the hat.
Lovely. Great. Now, what about the next family? Linksy, tell us about your hat.
My grandma bought it for me.
Nice. What colour is it?
It's
Oh, it's lots of colours, isn't it? Lots of colours. Beautiful. And Shinya, what about your... Pardon? Oh, she looks like she's come from Harry Potter, doesn't she? How beautiful you are. That's lovely. Okay, now my hat today, I have a bowler hat. And you can see that there's a round circle on the bowler hat, just like a bowling ball. And the person in the story today has a hat like this as well. So that's why I chose this one. And we're going to change the view to speaker view. And that means that you're up the top and I'm in the middle. Is that correct on your screens?
Yeah.
Good. So, I love all of your hats. Thank you for wearing them. And here is the book that we'll be looking at today. It's called Mr McGee and His Hat. Now you'll notice if you look at the words, everybody, McGee has a k in it. See that? A Mac. And that means that he has heritage from Ireland in the United Kingdom. And Mc, sometimes it's spelled M-A-C, Mac, that actually is a Gaelic word, and Gaelic is a language of ancient Ireland that came from, you know what country originally? Germany! It's a Germanic word, which is really interesting. So Mr McGee and his hat. So what do you think it might be about, Linksy, the book today? Do you want to have a guess? Yeah. Is this about a hat? About a bowler hat? Yeah. And what about, Zara, what do you think the hat's about? What do you think the book's about? Have you read this book? No? Have a guess. Oh, okay. What do you think it's going to be about today? You don't know? Alright. And Ruby, what do you think it's about?
I read this book in Kiwi when
Yeah.
I was in Queensland.
You must have read... Yes?
I won't say all of it. It was about like... I don't remember all of it, but it was basically about Mr McGee.
And I reckon that you read one of these books, Ruby, because you know why? This book just came out this year. It's a new book. Which is a great question, leading question for me, because Pamela Allen, the author, is 90 years old. 90 years old. And she's written more than 50 children's books. And they're all fantastic. And she lives in New Zealand. And Tron-May, you'll have to show your children where New Zealand is, won't you? But not
Oh
yet.
yeah, okay, I write down the also.
Yeah, Pamela Allen. In case you want to get the book for them. So last week we learned a rhythm pattern, and this week we're going to learn another rhythm pattern. Okay, and I'm going to use a glockenspiel, which is like this, and a glockenspiel has metal bars. And if you're someone that's like Zoe or Shinya and you don't know about your letters yet, or you might know about your letters, sometimes it's helpful, parents, if you put a little sticker on the ones that we're doing. And I put a little sticker on G and D because that's all we're using today. Now if you haven't got a tuned percussion instrument, anything you've got is great. So this is the pattern that we're going to be learning today on our glockenspiel if you've got one. Zara and Zoe, do you have an instrument with you? Oh, you've got a glockenspiel. Now, and everybody's got a glockenspiel. How wonderful is that? Great. Now, Scotty, could you make sure that Zara knows where G and D are, please? And G is blue and D should be orange. Scotty? Yeah, good. Okay, if that's all right. Very good. Now I've written our rhythm pattern out for you to help you to learn it today. Okay, and you can see there are 3 notes together, and these are called triplets. T, 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 ta, ta, T, 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 ta. Join in with me. T, 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 ta, ta, T, 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 ta. And they're the French time names. These are quavers and these are crotchets, but you'll learn that when you're bigger. So let's do the TTs again. You ready? T, 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 ta, ta, T, 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 ta. I can see your mouths moving, that's good. Now I wonder what these funny things are. There's a little hand here, and there are some funny things that you've probably never heard of before that I'm going to teach you. Okay, and this is Kodaly, so you need both your hands for this, so put your hands up so I can see them, please. Ready with Kodaly? Do. Say it with me. Do. Say it, Ruby. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. And that's a whole octave on the piano, and that's called Kodaly, and it helps you to hear the different sounds on the instruments. So let's do it one more time. You ready? Both hands. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Very good, very good. But today we're only looking at 2 notes, G and D, and G is so, so show me so, and re, so, re. And somebody told me recently that it's just like a spider climbing up the wall. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. And I think that's a good way to remember it. So here today we're only doing so, re, so, re. And this is the pattern. And these are the words that you'll be playing in a moment. Mr McGee lives under a tree. Join in with me. Mr McGee lives under a tree again. Mr McGee lives under a tree. And that's straight from the story. And get ready with your glockenspiels, everybody. And sometimes in Zoom, if you haven't got your sound for musicians on, it won't be together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Mr McGee lived under a tree again. Mr McGee lives under a tree. One more time. Mr McGee lives under a tree. Would anybody like to play it by themselves so I can hear them do the rhythm pattern? Would anybody like to?
Right.
Yes.
I have the kit that you got me instead, but I put on a setting to make it sound like a.
Are you going to play Mr McGee lives under a tree for us, Ruby? No? Or you are? Let's hear it.
I am.
Yeah,
Can you hear it?
unfortunately Zoom has taken the sound away. I bet it sounded fantastic. Linksy, do you want to try playing Mr McGee Lived Under a Tree? Because your mum's probably got the sound for musicians on. Good work. Very good. Zara, do you want to try playing it? Good job. Zoe, do you want to try? Mr McGee lived under a tree. And your sister's gone, Linksy, hasn't she? One more time all together. You ready? Mr McGee lived under a tree. And when I get to the end of each double page, you have to play that. Do you think you can do it? All the way through the story. So you've got to be listening with your ears and ready to play with your hands. That's very clever to be able to do that. Let's see how we go. And I'll be ready to play with you. Now, did anybody get the sheets printed out that I sent? Well, if
I
you...
couldn't
Good.
get the percentage.
That's all right. Every time you can see the red asterisk or the red star, Linksy, that's where you play. Did you notice the red star at the end of some of the lines? Yeah, that's when you play today. Mr McGee and his hat. Mr McGee and his hat. Ready? 1, 2. Fantastic. That means we're ready for the story. Mr McGee lived under a tree. This morning when he got out of bed, he dressed for the day he was going to play. He pulled on his trousers, his socks and his shoes, and last was his hat. He did not forget that. Good job, everybody. Mr McGee was under his tree. He'd finished his toast and was drinking his tea when there came a strong wind. It went racing through. It blew and it blew and it blew. And you can have a look at the print on this page. See how the words get bigger? To tell you to put more expression in your reading. And this is an exclamation mark. It means you have to say it in a really excited voice. Do you want to say it again with me? We'll say that last line. Ready? 1, 2. It blew and it blew and it blew. Wow, that's great. Did we play our Mr McGee then? Let's go. Up in the air Mr McGee flew, his hat and his cat and his bed went too. Ready? Mr McGee was spinning around up in the sky, high above ground, when the wind stopped. How are you going with your playing, everybody? Good? Thumbs up? Great. And you can see the story path telling you what's happening in the story. Follow the pictures. Down they all dropped, down fell the cat, down fell the cat, and squashed the hat flat. Ready? Then down through the tree fell Mr McGee, down came the table, the chairs and the bed. It's good to be home, Mr McGee said. Ready? But where was his hat? Oh, where can it be? Cried Mr McGee. It wasn't anywhere he could see. Ready? 1, 2. So off he went to find his hat. He climbed up high. Ready? but all that he saw was a bird flying by. It's not down below. Oh, where did it go? I've lost my hat and I want it back. Oh, where can it be? Cried Mr McGee. 1, 2. It wasn't there. He looked everywhere. I've been looking all day. I've had no time to play. I'm going to bed, Mr McGee said, and he sounds like he has a very sad voice, doesn't he? Because he's lost his favourite hat. Ready? 1, 2. He took off his coat and his trousers too, his shoes and his socks that were bright, bright blue. He took off his shirt, brushed off the dirt. Now this little thing I want to tell you about, see the dot, dot, dot? When you're writing stories, use those 3 dots. They're called ellipses, and that means something is going to be coming next. Okay, it's a really adult thing to do, writing an ellipsis in your story. Nod your head if you've seen ellipsis in your books.
I use them in my writing school.
Very good, Ruby. Zoe likes it. Have you seen ellipsis before, Zara?
Yes.
Good. What's the question, Zoe? She's changed her mind, has she? Alright, let's get going to the story. So we're in a very exciting time, so I better read this page again. He took off his shirt, brushed off the dirt, when... dot, dot, dot. Up stood the cat, and there was his... hat. Mr McGee climbed into bed and went to sleep with his hat on his...
Head.
Oh, I thought I said foot, but of course it starts with hurt and ends with dirt, so it's head. That's lovely. Now, I was going to just teach you something that I didn't do earlier that I wanted to. Before we do any more with this story, does anybody want to say anything about the story before I move on to the next thing? Any comments?
There was a lot of rhyming in it.
There was. That's important. And that's where stories and songs match, because they have rhythm and rhyme. Yeah, they help each other, help you to learn the words. Any other comments? Okay, this rhyme is, get your hands up again. Chippity chop, chop off the bottom and chop off the top. What we have left, we throw in the pot. Chippity, chippity, chippity chop. Again, because I don't think you joined in. 1, 2. Chippity chop, chop off the bottom and chop off the top. What we have left, we put in the pot. Chippity, chippity, chippity chop. Now the first word we're going to chop is hat. Okay, so we chop off the bottom of hat, and then we chop off the top of hat, and what have we got left? A, an at sound, haven't we? That's good. Okay, let's do another word. Chippity chop, chop off the bottom and chop off the top. What we have left, we put in the pot. Chippity, chippity, chippity chop. And the word we're going to do this time, is shoes, because Mr McGee took off his shoes. So chop off the bottom. What have we got at the bottom at the end?
S.
So chop off that S. And then we're going to chop off the first phoneme, the first sound, sh. So what have we got left? O-E says ooh, doesn't it? Ooh, shoes, sh. T, chop off the bottom, t. Chop off the sh. What have we got left? Again. Sh, it, p. Chop off the bottom. What's the bottom? P. What's the top? What have you got left? Excellent. And the last one, sham. Chop off the bottom. Chop off the top. What have you got left? Short A sound. Ah, good. So let's do chippity chop one more time so you can remember it, because it helps you to decode words that you don't know how to read. 1, 2, 3. Chippity chop, chop off the bottom and chop off the top. What you have left, you put in the pot. Chippity, chippity, chippity chop. Well done. And that might help you to decode some words that you can't work out what they say when you're reading. That's a good little trick. Now, yes? Yes, Zoe? You'll have to tell us what she said, Zara. I can't quite hear what Zoe's saying. Happy birthday, Zoe. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. You're getting bigger every day, aren't you? You were the same age as Shinya before your birthday, weren't you? Good. Now we've got another thing to do today, everybody, and I wrote you a song about this book, because sometimes when you put a book to a simple tune, it helps you to remember it. It helps you to learn to read it. So I've made up a song about Mr McGee and his hat for you. But when I am singing the song, you can follow and join in if you have the words, if they've been printed out for you. But if you haven't got them, you can play your xylophone, your glockenspiel, and you can play your glockenspiel all the way through the song. Okay? Mr McGee lived in a tree, and you're going to put that repeated pattern all the way through my song. And when you do that, when you put a repeated pattern through a song, it's called an ostinato. Can you say that big word, everybody? Ostinato. And all it means is a repeated pattern through a song. And you're going to play the repeated pattern. Let me hear it, please. 1, 2, 3. And when I start singing, you can start playing the ostinato. So give me a minute to get my guitar out. And it's the same words that you just read. Mr McGee lived under a tree. This morning when he got out of bed, he dressed for the day, he was going to play. He pulled on his trousers, his socks and his shoes, and last was his hat. He did not forget that. Mr McGee was under his tree. He'd finished his toast and was drinking his tea, when there came a strong wind. It went racing through. It blew and it blew and it blew. Up in the air Mr McGee flew. His hat and his cat and his bed went too. Mr McGee was spinning around, up in the sky and high above ground, when the wind stopped. Down they all dropped, down fell the hat, down fell the cat, down fell the cat and squashed the hat flat. Then down through the tree fell Mr McGee. Down came the table, the chairs and the bed. It's great to be home, Mr McGee said. But where was his hat? Oh, where could it be? It wasn't anywhere he could see. So off he went to find his hat. He climbed up high, but all that he saw was a bird flying by. It's not down below, oh, where did it go? I've lost my hat and I want it back. Oh, where can it be? Cried Mr McGee. It wasn't there, he'd looked everywhere. Do you know where it is? I've been looking all the day. I've had no time to play. I'm going to bed, Mr McGee said. He took off his coat, his trousers too. his shoes and his socks that were bright, bright blue. He took off his shirt, brushed off the dirt, up jumped the cat, and there was his hat. Mr McGee climbed into bed and went to sleep with his hat on his head. How did you go with the ostinato, everybody? You played it throughout? That's wonderful. So that song will be on the website if you want to sing along and learn how to do it, which is great. Thank you for your participation today. You were wonderful. Now our next story time is Saturday the 16th of November, and the reason why we're not doing it for a while is because I'm going to Japan, and when I'm there I'll be looking out for a song and a story that we can do in story time, a Japanese one. So have a lovely 3 weeks, everybody, and would anyone like to say anything before we go? Did you have a happy time today?
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say? Okay, well, lovely to see you. Bye. And don't... Yes? Pardon, Zara?
Do we have the next?
I'll get back to you because I'm not sure what book, because I'll be looking for a new book in Japan for you. A Japanese story. Okay? All the best, everybody. Bye.